Welcome to the KPC Smart Money Podcast with Kevin and Karen Christ. We love this time in our podcasts. They're different than our radio show because we don't always talk about financial things. We talk about things that we think are important just to life, and that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about the top 10 benefits of lifelong learning. And, in particular, we got 78 million baby boomers who are preparing to redefine their retirement. News that staying active and keeping their brains constantly engaged may help stave off mental and physical ailments and diseases. And so we know there is a health benefit from learning. And what is it? No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, we do these podcasts and it's not always about financial, or KPC Smart Money, right? It's not always about financial, but if you keep your mind active and you can stave off the mental and physical ailments and diseases, your money's going to last longer.
Yeah.
You're not running to the doctor. We have a client that he just retired. And it's like he stopped working. He's falling apart. He's spending all his time going to the doctor. So this might help you. Lifelong learning is a continued educational experience that utilizes non-credit academic courses, educational travel.
Ooh, I like that one.
Yeah, me too. I like the history.
I love it.
It's not always just about scuba diving, but it's nice to do both. And community service and volunteerism to fully engage your brain. It heightens your physical activity and maintains healthy social relationships.
Yeah, it does. And when you look at the benefits gained from keeping your mind sharp, it's incredible. Lifelong learning is like a health club for your brain. Every day my mom does a crossword puzzle and Sudoku and probably reads for several hours a day. And I think it's great. Her brain's always engaged. An active mind can stimulate physical activity and it keeps your spirits high. It's an all-around great tool for better health, and experts agree. So for today, we've got some of these 10 examples we got from Nancy Nordstrom. We think she just consolidated this into awesome 10 points.
All right. So much like David Letterman, top 10 list, right? We'll start number 10.
Okay, go for it, honey.
Lifelong learning helps fully develop natural abilities. Karen, we all have innate natural abilities, some of which might not be readily apparent. Once we're no longer working full time, we have the opportunity to fully explore and develop these abilities.
Well, yeah, because a lot of people have abilities that may not line up with what they did for a career to make money.
Right.
Exactly.
That's right. It was like your dad. He was a CPA and a financial
CFOs,
guy.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, the point is he loved woodworking. And he didn't really have the time to always do it.
His dream was to own a hardware store.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he ended up being a high-powered corporate financial guy. But when he retired, he loved to putter and make things, and he had the best collection of tools I've ever seen. So so let's go to number 9. Lifelong learning opens up your mind. An integral part of lifelong learning is the free exchange of ideas and viewpoints among other people. There's nothing like listening to or taking part in stimulating discussions to help us see the other side of an issue. That give and take opens our mind and brings us a whole new level of understanding. Boy, is this beginning to just disappear. Sometimes I feel like an open, honest give and take of ideas is becoming like the dinosaurs. Now people just flash 21 words or less, what is it, across Twitter, or they just slam out a Facebook post, or, hey, let me get a text message done and throw in a few LOLs and a few emojis. It's like, I think it's an art almost in being able to have open, honest, multi-dimensional, different points of view conversation in a civil way. And it's too bad because it's one of the important things to keeping your mind engaged and part of this lifelong learning.
That's right. The civil discussion has gone by the way of free speech. It seems. It's kind of sad.
So make sure you have people around you that don't think exactly like you, but you're all respectful, and go ahead and have those conversations where you get to see other sides of an issue.
Yeah, that's right. So let's go to number 8. Lifelong learning creates a curious, hungry mind. The more older learners discover about history, current events, politics, or the culture of other countries, the more they want to learn. According to this Nancy Nordstrom, there's a big world out there just waiting for our exploration. Our drive and desire to learn fuels itself, and we keep going, constantly looking for more to feed our hungry minds.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, I was lucky in how I grew up. My grandfather, he didn't even finish high school and never went to college, and in the late 20s, way before he was 18, just hopped on a train, started traveling the country, absolutely self-educated. He loved to read, he loved to learn, and he became an executive at an airlines. And, he was one of the most well-spoken men. I used to love to listen to him talk because he was educated, self-taught, and he loved to watch the nature programs, the history channels. He just couldn't get enough of it, and that trickled down to the entire family. So next one is number 7. Lifelong learning increases our wisdom. Lifelong learning enables us to put our lives into perspective. It increases our understanding of the whys and the whats of previous successes and even failures, and it helps us understand ourselves better. We more fully develop the wisdom that comes later in life. Face it, wisdom often comes with age if you're paying attention and you are putting your life into perspective and you are looking at the things that have been successes and failures. Those are both teaching tools.
Karen, I just think that, if younger people, and I was guilty of it myself, you think as people get older, what do they know, right? What do my parents know? What do my grandparents know, when you're younger?
An awful lot.
If somebody the kids had the wisdom to get their parents off to the side and listen to what the experiences that they have, they'd come out a whole lot better, wouldn't they? So number 6, lifelong learning makes the world a better place. Why is that? Through the community service aspect of lifelong learning, older learners can give back to their communities and to the world. We've spent 30, 40 or more years interacting with the world. What we've learned during that time can be translated into real value for the betterment of society. Our wisdom, our insight, it's all of tangible benefit to the world around us.
Yeah, it is. And, I think, again, I was lucky. Grandparents, parents, and even us as kids, we would all sit around the living room. TV was not on. And I used to enjoy hearing the stories. I found my great-grandparents' lives incredibly fascinating. You're sitting there as a young child talking to your great-grandparents when the car was invented. Okay? There were no airplanes. We used to laugh. They didn't have toothbrushes. It was fun to listen to them because they lived all those major inventions. We were with family when the men walked on the moon. I remember clearly to this day, sitting around with the family and watching those events.
I was on a surfboard when the
You missed it? Oh no, you watched it.
I watched the rocket. I grew up in Indian Harbor Beach. I was on a surfboard at age 13. I was almost 14. My father he retired from NASA.
Mm-hmm.
And talking about, learning a lot about different things. My father used to come home and and he would disappear for 2 or 3 days before a moonshot. And they had bunkers that they would live in when and stay in with, they call ground control. You know, the David Bowie song, Ground Control to Major Tom. That sound, by the way.
Pretty good,
honey. But anyway, so he would be in those bunkers. I don't know if you remember the movie Apollo 13 with Tom Hanks, where they had to get him back out of space, and they had all those little guys with the white short sleeve shirts, you know, dress shirts with the black ties, and they get the crew cuts and the black rim glasses. That was my dad, right? So, you know, take advantage of learning from older people. You know, some of the people that I play golf with that are now in their late 70s and 80s have remember some times that I don't think of very much, like, you know, what was happening in 1973. There was a recession, and I don't remember that. I was graduating from high school. So sitting around and talking to older people and having discussions is going to keep your brain healthier. You know, quite frankly, in closing, I'm going to say this, Karen. You know, staying active in retirement is just so important. And, you know, it scares me to think that, you know, people say, well, when are you going to retire? And I say, well, I don't know that I'm going to fully retire, you know, completely retire, because I'm afraid, you know, that I would just get so bored. Right? How many days a week can you play golf? Right? Well, probably 4 or 5, but nevertheless. So lifelong learning is the key. Keep reading, keep learning, talk to some older folks, meet some people, get in a discussion group, and you're listening to KPC Smart Money. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week.
You've been listening to the KPC Smart Money Podcast with Kevin and Karen Christ. To listen to more episodes, visit kpcsmartmoney.com. You can also find the KPC Smart Money Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, and Stitcher.
KPC Financial Solutions is an independent financial services firm that utilizes a variety of investment and insurance products. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through KPC Financial Solutions, LLC, a registered investment company. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any reference to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation. KPC Financial Solutions is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by KPC Financial Solutions. Hypothetical examples have been provided for illustrative purposes only. It does not represent a real-life scenario and should not be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation.